Not every game has to be an epic. Even if it's short, sweet, and to the point, you can still have a really good time with a game in a half hour or less. Windosill aims to be exactly that kind of game, or rather an experience. It's the kind of game that starts in a toy box with the lights out. Then you hit the light, just for the sake of investigation, you poke and prod some of the other stuff around there. You find that clicking and dragging is really all there is, that while these things are interesting, they aren't doing much, and you begin to wonder why you just threw money at this contraption and why it's taking up disk space. And then you figure out how to get out of there. And you're greeted by a title drop, dropping titles, and an inexplicable hand that keeps trying to write the title, and a pattern. Find a cube, stick it in the hole, open the door, move on. You realize exactly what you have to do, but you don't do it. Instead, you poke and prod some of the other stuff around because they make interesting sounds and whatnot. The word toybox keeps coming to mind. That's pretty much what you're looking at here. A creation of pure whimsy with just enough direction to be called a game. And before it all, a little blue truck puttering along. That said, despite the ultra-simplistic nature of Windosill, there's still a healthy bit of puzzle solving to be done. You don't get explanations. Ever. Aside from that aforementioned title drop, there's no guide or words at all. On the other hand, it all but guarantees that there will be some poor schmo who can't even figure out what to do on the first screen, and who will think the entire game is horrible based solely on that. But the best teacher is experience, and it certainly seems like Vectorpark understand how to lead the player through a natural progression of ideas, supported primarily by their own curiosity. The fact that the game looks charming doesn't hurt either, like a trip into the stuff under Dr. Seuss's bed full of odd sounds and odder creatures, who totally seem to have each other's backs. It's games like this that continue to throw fuel on that old our game's art bonfire, since from every angle, Windosill seems like nothing more than a very shiny toy with fun interactive bits but ultimately little else. There are atmospheric sound effects taken from a stock catalog and no music at all to speak of. But at the same time, there's a challenge here, largely because on site it's so hard to figure out what to make of it. You go into each scene having no idea whatsoever of the rules and just click on things, or physically poke them if you're playing the iPad version, and eventually after a good bit of trial and error and more error, you get to understand the language of that particular event. I vote that if we're going to call a huge rubber ducky an art installation, that Windosill certainly qualifies as well for being a beautiful, if thoroughly inscrutable, collection of abstract puzzle scenes. Don't ask where I got said vote, only Dan Lebitard isn't returning my phone calls. Unfortunately, after 10 such scenes, the ride comes to an end, all too early for my tastes, and it left me a little dizzy and craving a funnel cake.